You know, I'm a father of 6. My wife had 3 children when I married her, and I had 3 children. So we got married in 2007, and we thought we would live happily ever after with no problems because we loved each other so much. We had construction in a new house in 2007 and moved into our new house. And nothing ever seemed quite right. We continuously worked on our house. We would paint something, we would varnish something, we were always working on the house. I mean, it seemed like my wife would change the colors in the bedroom on a weekly basis, I guess. but my wife started becoming, had a lot of back pain. We didn't know what that was caused from. So we switched out, I would say probably 6 different brand new beds because we just thought it was uncomfortable beds. And now I know that was the worst thing we could do, is to bring a bunch of beds into brand new, chemicals and things that have not outgassed into the room. So we had a combination of that. She had, we did have mold in our home and some things. So we know that she was overexposed to things, and it caused a lot of different things. And now we know it caused a brain injury, but at the time we didn't know. She started noticing that her heart was like skipping a beat, and she was very in tune with her body, so she knew something was wrong. So we went to the doctor and he checked her heart out. Long story short, there's nothing wrong with her heart. And so we went to neurological testing. We went to I'm saying things that you guys have probably already done. But we did. We went to doctors for 1.5 years, and maybe 2 it might have been. We stumbled upon a doctor in Dallas that we thought was the savior to everything. We did, he said, you guys, I agree that the chemicals and the things in the house helped get her sick, and a combination of things did. I know now, but at the time it was, you have to get rid of everything, you have to detox everything, you have to get away from your house, and we gave up our home. She was away from all the environments, she was detoxing, and it just seemed like there wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel. It seemed like this was the life you were just supposed to live. Supposed to live away from everything, and I didn't understand that. And I struggled with that all the time. I loved her so much that I'd do whatever I would do anything in the world to fix that, but I didn't know what to do. And it seemed like the current path we were on just wasn't working. I know that you probably, if you have a significant other, that you know how tough it is on them, but I also know how tough it is on you guys because I watched my wife do it. But to not be able to help that person and to see, I had a period of time where I had my children, they wanted their mom, but they couldn't have her. When she came to there, they had to strip all their clothes off, change, and they didn't understand. They're teenagers. They didn't understand they couldn't have their cell phone around. They didn't understand that they couldn't have, clothes and chemicals. They just did not understand it. They didn't understand why their mom wasn't getting any better, and they were hurting, and they were tired of it, and they were frustrated with it. My wife is healthy at 125 pounds and a very fit and beautiful woman. She's 112 pounds at this time. She didn't look like she used to look. She didn't. She couldn't do the things she used to do. But she was doing everything the doctors were telling her to do that we knew of. And so I would ask them, what's the next step? Why is she not getting better? And they didn't have an answer. The only answer was, you're just going to have to live like this. Well, no, that's not an answer that I'm okay with. That's my wife, and I'm not okay with that answer. And so I searched and searched and searched, and I come across Annie Hopper's website one night, and I knew immediately. I knew in my heart that this was the answer. I didn't have a doubt in my mind. I knew that the steps we took to get here, there were reasons for it. I went to my wife, and I'll never forget it. She was in the... Excuse me. Thank you. She was in the cold room, clean room, like she was alone most of the time because I couldn't always spend time with her because I had a business or now a new job and kids to take care of. And grandparents got tired of keeping the kids because the grandparents aren't supposed to keep the kids all the time. So I was having to now live in a different house while she lived there and see her when we could. She was sitting on the floor, and I told her, I said, I've found the answer. And of course, she looked at me and was like, sure you did. And I shared with her what I found, and we both cried. And she really believed at that point, more than ever, that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Immediately when she started the class, she changed. She was eating at a restaurant where there was, and her letter will tell you some of that, and I'll read it. For the first time, she went to one of the kids' games. I mean, she didn't even get to watch our kids' games. I mean, she couldn't go to their school. She was not a part of their life for 2 years. But I'll tell you, from that time when she took this class, my wife is healed. We have taken trips to Sandestin, to the beach, and I went to Colorado last summer, and she climbed up on top of the mountain and hiked up there. And those are just the things that now we know we definitely don't take for granted, because we know that we didn't think she was going to be able to do any of those things. She has gone to an airplane. She's been on an airplane 4 times. She stopped going on an airplane whatsoever. I never thought that was going to ever happen. She pretty much does anything she wants to do, period. And it is extremely gratifying to know that this treatment healed her. So we're just so grateful. I'm going to read her letter to you guys, and then I'll let you ask any questions you want, because the last weekend of November 2011, I sat in a seat similar to the one each of you are sitting in now. My life since has been forever changed. I lived several years in a home that made me very ill. Prior to that, I worked as a mom, a wife, and I was extremely full of life. Illness due to MCS and EMF stripped away everything that I loved in my life. Mine and my family's foundation crumbled. We moved from home to home, and each time one of those homes made me feel sicker. I finally moved into a cold, sterile, empty, and lonely hotel room for people being treated by similar illnesses. I was there for almost a year. My husband had to care for me part-time, our kids part-time, and work part-time, and to support the accumulating expenses that incurred. Due to the very expensive treatments I was doing to detox and get better, but I was not getting better at all. I was getting worse. I was skin tested. I was allergic to everything, tree pollen, fabric, chemicals, etc. I became hopeless and didn't want to live in a world that was slowly killing me. So that is what I was being told. So I became always anxious, always living in fear, and just plain hopeless. I wanted to die. I could not continue to see my children and husband suffer through this illness. One day my husband came to me crying and said, "I have the lady who's going to make you feel better." He had printed information from Annie's website. He knew that this program made more sense than anything else. For the first time in years, we had hope. I went through Annie's program in Dallas. 5 days later, I ate dinner at a restaurant that used propane gas, which I was previously allergic to. I ate wonderful foods I had not eaten in many years, and we all wept, and then did a happy dance. When Annie was in Dallas, I spoke about what I would like to do 6 months after her program, and that was attend a high school girls' reunion in Green, Texas. Oh, I wanted to float the river, eat good food, and drink wine and be around all my friends that drown themselves in perfume and everything else. Well, 6 months later, I did that. I did exactly that. A year later, I went on a family vacation and stayed in a high-rise condo in Florida. And 18 months later, I stayed on the 63rd, I forgot about this, the 63rd floor in a Vegas hotel room. Almost 2 years later, I go anywhere, anytime I choose. And you can too. Trust the program. One last thing is, it is a progression. I just thought of this as I'm reading this. I don't want you guys to think that Racheal didn't, when she went to Green, Texas, she was fine. You know what she needed? She still had a little bit of support, but she went there. It was a progression. She didn't start going to Las Vegas on the 63rd floor the first day. I don't want you to, so don't feel bad if your progression's less, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. I feel it with everything I am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.